Raul Ramirez of the Catch Wrestling Alliance, where we help you to elevate your grappling, and together we keep real wrestling alive. Today's topic is pretty interesting. I want to give you kind of like a perspective of someone who basically started their grappling journey primarily with catch wrestling, but very quickly, because jujitsu is everywhere. They were sparring in jiu-jitsu, and I want to give you someone's perspective on that, like basically coming from more of a catch wrestling foundation, and then seeing how those movements are working for this person. And we'll get into that right now, but really quickly, I'll just give you any announcement. So we still have our ongoing class at UCLA that's still going for the next few weeks. I think we'll go ahead and take a break, I guess, for summer, and then we'll be back for the summer session. So we'll just have to take a few weeks off from there. But if you're not a UCLA student or a member of the gym at UCLA, the John Wooden Center, then you can always train with us at Fight Science MMA. That's here in Los Angeles in the area called Mid City, and that's every Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. You're welcome. You don't have to join the gym. You can just drop in on those classes on those nights. Also, too, if you don't live anywhere near Los Angeles and you happen to live on the East Coast, primarily around South Carolina, you definitely got to try to train with my good friend and other catch wrestling coach that I really trust a lot, and really one of the most authentic ones you can find in the world, John Strickland in South Carolina at American Hook Wrestling. Also, if you're nowhere near either of those places, you can definitely train with us online on our online platform, catchwrestlingalliance.com, the CWA Academy. It should be up there. We also have one-off courses that aren't part of the academy that you can just take that are maybe more specific for certain subjects. And with that being said, we got all the recordings done for the next pressure pass system. That is like the part 2 of an ongoing course. It'd be volume 2 of an ongoing way of kind of using catch wrestling principles to approach passing guard. In this case, we're going to be going over open guard or seated guard because it really should. I think maybe people might not be understanding how something that seems so unwrestling like can be approached in a catch wrestling way, but you can do it, right? And it isn't necessarily so wrestling like. If you if you remember, if any of you listened to our podcast before this, interview with my good buddy John Strickland, who I just mentioned, and his research about amateur wrestling, and in particular like collegiate wrestling and all that, they were using a lot of these we call them elevators, right? So but nowadays I think a lot of people, if they saw it, they would use the jiu-jitsu terminology as butterfly guard. So you'll see a lot of these things from the past, but because amateur wrestling has evolved so far away from that route or that time period, it currently doesn't look anything like that, where you'll see so many of those butterfly guard or whatever. You're not going to see very much of that at all. So that's what this upcoming pressure pass volume is going to be about. So look out for it. Hopefully we can get it out within the next few weeks. We'll definitely announce it and stuff. So, look forward to that. So also too, if you want to help us out, feel free to become a channel member at our YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. You can help us out in any kind of way. It all goes towards, having events and stuff like that. So continuing with matches and stuff. So anything's appreciated, and that's through our YouTube channel. So it works basically like a Patreon, where you can just show your appreciation for our work, and all of that is very, very appreciated, right? So that being said, let's go and go through our topic. So the person that we're going to be talking to is someone that you have seen if you are a subscriber to our channel, or if you've seen not only our YouTube channel but our Instagram, our TikTok, anything. You've seen this person. It's actually my assistant at UCLA. So her name is Cindy. She has been helping me a lot in my all my classes. Basically, I teach boxing, kickboxing, catch wrestling, and Cindy's there helping out virtually every class. So she's been learning a lot. She started off with me doing kickboxing, and then began learning catch wrestling, and then from there, uh, so at UCLA we have all kinds of martial art classes, which is actually it's actually fantastic for all students who want to like maybe explore different martial art styles. So we have all kinds of styles, and Cindy became an official assistant instructor. So what that means is like we'll have students who are hired to help us out, basically help all our instructors out. So they might not know the different style they're helping out with, but they are truly like a big help. And so I personally have been really trying to like teach Cindy as much as I can, and with like teach her as much about the styles that I know. And she's like a really great student, and so she's becoming like, or she has become a huge help to me. And you're kind of seeing her in all my, or not all, but quite a lot of our YouTube videos and stuff, and a lot of our YouTube shorts and stuff, because she's really becoming more and more proficient at catch wrestling. And so we are not only at UCLA but outside gyms as well. Where like she's getting a chance to use the catch wrestling that she's learning against people who don't know catch wrestling or other catch wrestlers. So I kind of don't want to take all the words out of her mouth, but I want basically for people to kind of see this perspective, because nowadays like the mainstream idea is all about like maybe jujitsu and whatnot, but we kind of talk about this in this interview. So um, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to it here. Okay, so I'm gonna click over. There's a pre-recorded uh, interview here. Let's go ahead and get to it. Our class at Fight Science in Los Angeles, but we've also trained at Daisy Fresh, so the Pedigo submission fighting here in Los Angeles as well. So I wanted to get Cindy's opinion, or at least her observations about the experience between actual like catch wrestling and then jiu-jitsu, but plus also like Daisy Fresh is they're trying to combine a little bit more of the amateur wrestling into their jiu-jitsu. So I want to try to get Cindy's perspective on what she's been seeing or what she's been noticing between the different styles. All right, so you've been training all kinds. So we've been rolling with all kinds of people from different backgrounds. We even do like the open mats and stuff. So we get people from all kinds of jiu-jitsu schools coming in. What have you felt like, or maybe what was some of the main stylistic differences that you've noticed compared to what, so like I'm teaching you or what you're learning in the catch wrestling class, as opposed to like how they're kind of attacking you in jiu-jitsu?
This is a attack on jujitsu might be on my own learning style, but jujitsu is a bit more convoluted. It's a little more. There's a lot of technicalities where catch wrestling is a little more common sense and easier to understand, and I think maybe wrestling in general. But that's like one of the main stylistic differences. And when I roll with jujitsu people, they usually go straight into guard. They don't know what to do when they're standing or how to bridge that like standing to guard. So I feel like catch wrestling helps bridge that gap. And yeah, with catch wrestling people, it's a little more physically challenging since they don't they're putting like their 100%, whereas jujitsu people, they like to play guard and play with their legs. So when I'm going against catch wrestling people, I have to think more technically, whereas where I'm rolling with jujitsu people, I have to think about passing guard and kind of avoiding the things they like to do. Whereas, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that is kind of the thing with jiu-jitsu, right? Like, it's almost like the battle like doesn't quite start until you've passed their guard, right? So
yeah,
they're actually trying very vigorously to keep you from passing their legs.
yeah.
Or is that what you kind of been saying?
Yeah, yeah. They're they they're trying to keep you in front of you, or trying to keep you in front of them as much as possible. They're afraid of the back, or like being on the, or they're afraid of you taking their back. Where I feel like that's a very limiting perspective, because like you're not at a disadvantage if someone takes your back. It's just a different approach. But at least with the jujitsu people I've met, they demonize or villain or antagonize. They really don't like you giving up your back, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. Because you're not at a disadvantage as long as you know how to get out. It's not the end
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think people don't quite understand, but I think that's maybe because jiu-jitsu's become so mainstream. So then a lot of some of the principles in jiu-jitsu uh, they now become what people consider maybe common sense. But when you come from a wrestling background, especially the catch wrestling, but even amateur wrestling, we have a lot of escapes. If someone does like jump on your back and start riding you, there's a lot of counters. It's just maybe nowadays, even in amateur wrestling, whether it be freestyle or folk style, then you get that point game going because they have so many. A lot of times they're just going to be trying to go for takedowns, still maybe pins, but what we call riding time is like they're even trying to get rid of
Yeah,
that counting for anything. So that that whole idea from amateur wrestling might be kind of getting lost, but in catch wrestling, it's still there. And when someone's on your back, it's not the end of the world. Have you felt that like it's becoming a more of a like defensive position for you? You feel like you can still kind of survive if someone's at you?
yeah, totally. I find myself in that position a lot since they love to chase after the back. So I'm getting more and more used to getting out and escaping, and actually like elaborating on that. I use a lot of catch wrestling escapes in jujitsu, and they work. They work. So I think it's definitely not the end of the world if someone takes your back, even though it may matter more in terms of points. But like, you can still, it's not over till it's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think the whole idea of like a point system is like affecting the way they're attacking you as well?
I think so, because I'm sure they've competed and I haven't, so they'll understand the point system more. They know that it's, in terms of points, more valuable, so that's why they go for it. But I don't. It doesn't end the game either, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you might be getting more influenced by the catch wrestling stuff, which I think is great. But yeah, for people who don't know, like the catch wrestling traditionally has no actually not traditionally catch wrestling has no point system whatsoever, and so usually you would go until and it wouldn't have any time limit either. So you would go until someone loses. So that's the whole idea, where it's like if someone takes your back, it's not the end of the world. You're still in a fight. If someone takes you down, it's not the end of the world. You're still in the fight. You can actually even use these things as your strategy to like say like if you're better, if you know you're better at the ground fighting, like the mat wrestling we call it, then you can totally like just like let someone take you down because you know you're gonna counter them, or you can just dive in for their leg because like let's you want to get it to the mat, and again you wouldn't suffer any like deficit in points because there are no points, right? And it because it in that way it can become a little bit more like a we say like in like a real fight. At least that's what my coach in the snake pit in Wigan to Roy Wood. That's what he said. Like this is the closest to a real fight you're gonna get because it is continuous. Like you're if you still have to be fighting if you get taken down. If you're flat, if they flatten you, then you gotta fight your way back up. Like,
Yeah.
so is that kind of what you were experience like when you go to the catch wrestling class, like in fight science, as opposed to like some jujitsu stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. You keep going until like someone taps out or you get a pin. So, and that's what I'm more leaning towards, but maybe I'm more influenced. But yeah.
Okay, so you okay, cool. So then, actually, you also do some kickboxing, some Sanda kickboxing. Do you feel like maybe the catch wrestling is also helping, or vice versa?
I feel like the Santa like takedowns have been helping improve my takedowns in catch wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Yeah, definitely. Because the sure the knee over toe has technique has had its place in time, and it still works, but I think I prefer like the standing takedown more, just because you have that advantage of standing over them.
Yeah. So, like, for if you don't know, it'd be kind of like like the amateur knee over toe, the double leg. What you'll see like in every like, especially men's divisions and freestyle, they'll be going for that double leg where they put their knee on the ground. But in catch wrestling and also in Chinese kickboxing and Sanda, there's a lot of standing takedown. So like in catch wrestling, a lot of times traditionally you might even have a match out in the field. So a lot of times you like someone will want to like get this big suplex or get this standing kind of double leg. So where you wouldn't put your knee down, you would actually just still stay standing and you knock them over. That would be a little bit more characteristic of these two styles. That's why I think it's like they both blend very well. Like have you felt like at least like maybe Sanda would be a good combo, like say even for MMA or if you want to like
Yeah,
start.
I feel like it's definitely a good base. Because how else do you transition from standing to ground and pound without takedowns or without kicks? So I feel like catching kicks, those takedowns, very valuable.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, you want to be able to control them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So even do you think that maybe because like what they're saying for MMA is that like the wrestlers still dominate? Do you think like if a wrestler had like an authentic catch wrestling background, then they could dominate even more?
Yeah, because how else? Because the whole point of MMA is being able to control the other person
Mm-hmm.
and being in a dominant position. How can you do that without being able to control someone or pitting someone?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I think tying this back to jiu-jitsu, where they're on their back and playing guard a lot, it's a lot more disadvantageous to be on your back. So I think it's not a bad thing to turn into turtle and like turn onto your stomach and giving up your back. It's not a disadvantageous position. So I think MMA people should. A good blend would be like sanda and catch wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, ideally, yeah, too. I really hope that like China will kind of learn about catch wrestling and then adopt that into because they already have a lot of pro MMA fighters who have a Sanda background, and if they could just combine that,
Yeah.
or even the school in the Philippines, there's also a Sanda based school. They're doing extremely well in MMA, so maybe they're like not thinking about catch wrestling or never heard of it, but it'd be great to see them incorporate it as well. That'd be fantastic. All right, have you felt like catch wrestling has helped in any other ways, or like even like because like I guess one of the things is like so here at UCLA too, we also have like open mats and so you've sparred with so many different people with different
Yeah.
styles. Do you feel like having the catch wrestling base kind of helps you even if you don't know like someone's coming at you with something strange? Do you think like that having some kind of wrestling framework could help?
Yeah, for sure. Because I know what to look for if they like expose their arm or leg. I know to look for those, and I know if I feel like even if you don't come from, anyone's gonna go for the back. Anyone's gonna go for the choke, and I know how to escape that. So I feel like looking, I know what to look for. I know how to put people in these positions and control them. So I feel like it's definitely valuable, even if I'm going against someone I don't know their background.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, for people who don't know, it's like I've seen you roll with all kinds of random people, and they just can't submit you. So,
Yeah,
and all different levels, men and women and stuff. So, yeah, you're doing really well. You're
yeah.
really coming along. So, hopefully, we can see. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, ironically, the only people that submitted me the most have been catch wrestling people. The only person who's ever like submitted me in a rear naked choke has been a catch wrestling person, and he's been submitting me. But like, he's the only person who's been able to. Everyone else hasn't. Everyone like from a jujitsu background has not been able to submit me in a rear naked choke.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope
pretty.
people don't take that as a challenge.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone's out to choke you now, right? No, but yeah, that's the thing, right? So, like in catch wrestling competitions, usually the strangleholds are barred and stuff. But we've had many instances where, like, even some of my students have been able to choke people very well. So it doesn't mean that catch wrestling doesn't know any of these chokes. It's just that in competition, they were barred. So a lot of people still knew them, and you see all these old catch wrestling pictures where they would explicitly say, "This is well, if you're going to show a choke, this is a choke, but it's barred in competition." So it doesn't mean that catch wrestlers don't know it. But yeah, even in our competitions, we still would bar it because that's we want to try to keep it to the traditional way. But it doesn't mean we don't know it. All right. Okay. Well, hopefully we can get your insights as you progress.
Yeah.
And so we'll go ahead and end it here, unless you have any other thoughts that.
I mean, this entire conversation I hope wasn't an attack on jujitsu. I feel like catch wrestling is just like a blend of both worlds, best of both worlds, like wrestling and jujitsu. So I feel like, sure, jujitsu has its own perks and values, but I think it can definitely be strengthened with the catch wrestling.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, no. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, no one considers it an attack. But even if you look at a lot of the best no-gi jiu-jitsu competitors nowadays, a lot of them are turning towards amateur wrestling to kind of learn new techniques. And many of them have been quoted as saying, "Is like wrestling is gonna be where you get like some of the next innovations in no-gi grappling." I think my argument would be like catch wrestling would be like where the not necessarily innovations because like it would actually just be using traditional catch wrestling that like it's still not like it would be considered an innovation because it's not like catch wrestling isn't necessarily being used in no-gi. A lot of amateur wrestling techniques are being used, but like we've seen in several matches now, it's like Flow Grappling will pay some of our best amateur wrestlers to do a no-gi competition, and then like all of them, virtually all of them, get submitted either by leg lock or we also had triangle choke and all that. So uh, it it shows, of course, that amateur wrestling has no submissions, so they're not quite used to it, so they're not going to have enough time to get good at defending all these different submissions. But catch wrestling has a lot of these holds baked in because they're wrestling holds, right? Like the double wrist lock is a wrestling hold, but it can be used as a submission. The toe hold is a wrestling hold where you give them some pain to roll them over. Um, but it can be used as submission as well. So I think that's why it's like the perfect blend, right? So it wouldn't be an innovation; it would actually just be a reintroduction to the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you for your thoughts. Um, any other thoughts? Okay. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and end it here. Maybe we'll get an update from you in a few months or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. So hopefully, maybe you can even compete sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you can see Cindy on probably our next videos on all our YouTube videos. So I want to kind of give everyone like an introduction because I'm sure you've probably seen Cindy on like a lot of our videos already. So just let you know who she is, and she's a real serious student. So hopefully hopefully we see her to continuing to improve and all that. All right. So that was hopefully that kind of gives everyone a better perspective about like how catch wrestling can help, even if it's like the first style you learn. You can also check back on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of competitions. I think I mentioned this when I did a live stream. Someone asked like who would be a real good person to look at like in competition, and I mentioned Matt Tran. So Matt Tran is on that. He's competed in our event, so we have I think at least 4 of his matches, and he is another person who only did catch wrestling, and he's won jiu-jitsu tournaments. He's won like all his catch wrestling matches that he's had in the events that we've organized. So you can see that catch wrestling just by itself is very effective and it can help in all kinds of situations and scenarios. So you kind of got Cindy's perspective as someone who's more new to training. But I think one thing that's great about Cindy is that Cindy's only been training for a few months, and she's already like really tough to submit. Um, and just using some of the principles that she's learned already is getting her in advantageous positions and helping her to get out of disadvantageous positions. So, hopefully we can kind of at least give you enlighten you a little bit about like how basically how great and effective catch wrestling is, or how effective catch wrestling can be. All right, so if you want to help us out, you can totally become a member at our YouTube channel. Or if you want to train with us, you can go to our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com, and join the CWA Academy. It has this really cool messaging app that it's like our community app that kind of like Discord. We can share videos and all that. So we share, besides like all the core foundational videos for our curriculum, we also share a bunch of other videos like monthly, like to answer questions and stuff. So you're free to chat in there and all that. So it's really worth your membership. So just the community alone there, it's like it's really a great value. Um, Also, feel free to come train with us if you're a UCLA student or if you have access to the gym. Or also, if you don't have access to the gym, you can come train with us at Fight Science MMA. I believe the gym is expanding. I don't know when it'll be ready, but we should have more room for training and stuff. So more training opportunities should be coming up soon. So just keep in touch. Send us a message. Let us know if you can train or if you just want to help out. Fantastic. Because we really want to keep this real wrestling alive, and really want to help everyone to elevate their grappling truly, because we see the value in this and we think it can really help you too. So feel free to join our movement. Okay, so we'll see you in our next podcast. Thanks for listening.